Okay, this is a short video to talk a bit about the scanner, the console, um, possibly system out and system in. Um, a bit of the history of that may help you understand these things better. Um, okay, so here's a short program that just demos um, creating a scanner called console, prompting um, uh, for your name, then collecting what you type in from the console, and then printing out what you typed in. Now, this may not make much sense to you, um, um, partly because there's some context in a particular historical context that's kind of missing. So I'm going to switch to, well, kind of what used to be the older way of programming, rather than this integrated environment here, using a console, and I do my code editing with Notepad++. If you're not familiar with using the command prompt window, it involves typing in some commands. So command, for example, dirb will show you the files in a folder, in a directory. So we're currently in the Documents Java Program CS200 directory. And you can look at it sort of another way here, which is through the file manager. I'm working in Windows here. So this is also in Documents Java Programs CS200. So, all right. So either way, I mean, these are both looking in the same place. This is just kind of an older way. So you might wonder why the older way is better, or why I'm even bothering showing it to you. Not partly, the main reason is because that's where this whole metaphor of consoles and scanners came from. Originally, back in the 1980s, when you got a computer and this is all you saw on the screen, you never saw any graphical stuff, unless your program actually did some graphical things. This was the operating system. And so when you interacted with your computer by typing commands. So for example, like the dirb. You also compile your programs using commands. So Java C, scanner, demo.java will compile your program. And so, for example, if you do have errors in your program, like for example, missing semicolon, and you compile, you get the error messages here. So this is kind of one big focused area for working. So in a way, it's kind of faster. Another thing is that I'm using, you guys can't see what I'm doing on the keyboard, but to recall the compile command, I just do an up arrow, so I don't have to retype it. Guess I'm going to fix this error here. Save it. Recall my command. And now it compiles. To run the program, oh, by the way, before I run it, do my dirb command here. Now there's a new file here, this .class thing. This is the version of the program now that you can actually run. The Java file is just source code. This actually doesn't run. Java requires you to convert your file to a .class file first. It's not obvious in Eclipse, but that exact same thing has happened. Okay, so to run it, you just type Java, and then the name of the file, without the class at the end. And so that's going to prompt me. So, and it's going to wait. Okay, so what happened here is this is the result of this print statement. So print this prompt. The console is what's called, when you see this new keyword, means it created a new object. And this object is just connecting to this console here. This line here is waiting for me to type something in at the console. That's why it just is sitting here. The program's not continuing on, so I'm going to type my name and hit enter. And when I do that, it'll go on to the next line and print whatever I typed in with hello. Okay, so to kind of edit your program, for example, add the word please here. Okay. Save it. We recompile it. And then we run it. So now you can see that it says please. And it does the same thing, prints out what I typed in. All right. All right. So the whole business of the console and the scanner has its roots in this thing here. And by the way, if you want to set up your computer so you can program the way I'm doing here, which is a lot less cumbersome than Eclipse, I can do that when we meet in class. In the meantime, let's go over to Eclipse, which most of you are using. Here's the same program here. I've created a project and a source file. To run it, you hit the little green button here. Now the question is, where's the console? It's not going to use this console. And so let's run it. If you notice, a little console pops up down here. Okay, and it's asking for my name. And so if I type in JOH, oh my goodness, it's like typing it in up here. So in order for this, for what you typed in down here, you have to click into here. And now when you click on that, and the rest of the program runs and does the same thing. It's a bit more cumbersome, but the whole business of the console, this is actually in a way, retrofitted one of these things into here, but just for the purposes of showing the stuff that you print and the stuff that you collect from the user. And it's kind of listen to, especially since you have to click into here and to know that you have to type something in here. While we're here, actually, there's a little yellow thing here, which says console is never closed. In the newer versions of Java, you actually have to disconnect from the console. So we just use console.close. And once you do that, and the little yellow thing disappears. It actually has absolutely no bearing. Oops, and this annoying thing that pops up. I guess I could disable or say don't show that again. So it has no bearing on the the running of the program. The program will run with or without this. By the way, because when this program ends, this new object you created is discarded by Java. When it's discarded, it's automatically closed. So I'm not sure why they require this, but put this in and it makes that error go away. In the meantime, a couple other things. For the files that you submit have to be named a particular way. So, for example, I believe it's like and 8 program 1 or something. Okay, so and then when I do that, there I am. Okay, once and for all. Okay, so there's errors. Okay, so what's the error? Okay, turns out that the file name has to match the class name, so you can't just change it in here. It's kind of a nuisance. One workaround is the initial class you create should just be the final name. So instead of using the name Scanner Demo. I should have used this name to begin with, which I kind of suggest for when you're doing your homework assignments, to spare yourself the challenge of trying to figure out how to rename this thing. Using the approach that I use here, copy this, save myself the typing. This I can just save as. Okay, I need to put it in here also. Okay, so I'm now working with a file by this name, with a class by this name. And by the way, if I do my dirb thing here, we can see that that file is showing up here. And if I do Java C, compiles, and then do the class thing, .class. Okay, so we've now created this other program. It's the same program with a different name. And here's, by the way, the runnable version. So when time comes to submit, it's really easy to find your Java file because it's right here in Java. It's in the folder we were working in. Documents, Java programs, CS200. This one I was working in. Whatever you work in, that's where your Java file is going to be. So you just simply select that to submit. With Eclipse, it's a little more challenging, especially if you try to rename the class. It's just you may eventually figure out how to do this and remember how to do it each time you need to do it, but it's a bit more challenging. Okay. Okay, well, I hope that helps, in particular, kind of to explain the console business. Once again, let me know if you want me to set up an environment like this that you can work in. All right, see you on Wednesday.